Hello everybody, this is Senex, and today I'm going to be bringing you something a little bit different than the shoutcast we've been looking at previously in my channel. This is a Zerg versus Zerg between Deja Nagama in the bottom left, the green Zerg, and the pink Zerg Nivek in the top right. So what I'm going to be doing with this cast a bit more is trying to analyze how the 6 Mineral Field 1 high yield gas variant might change this very violent and volatile matchup in full resource Starcraft 2. I've actually seen that there's a term which is now being used to refer to the 6 mineral field 1 high yield gas and all of the other potential ways of doing it, with maybe 2 gas that only return 3 gas per trip with the workers, and that's FRB, obviously referring to the small no, I'm just kidding, it's FRB for fewer resources per base. So, one thing I want to point out right in the beginning of this analysis is that Deja is a gold player, while his opponent Niv is a diamond player. So I was watching this live, and I'll freely admit, not really thinking it was going to be the best game ever. I thought that it was probably going to be moderately one-sided, because even though the fewer resources per base does make it so that the ordinary timings, the ordinary expectations about what's going on in a game are very definitely challenged, I thought the diamond player is probably going to have a little bit better micro, probably be a little bit more on his top of his larva injects, and just other good macro-y things that will give him an advantage as the game goes on. But as we will see, and I'm actually going to speed this up in just a moment until we start getting to the more important things, as we see, the game ends up being a lot more back and forth than I was at first anticipating. We'll see that both players are getting their spawning pool a little bit faster for Niv, but the expansion is going down while for Deja, while gas is going down for Nivek. That implies that Niv is putting a much higher emphasis on the higher tech units like roaches or banelings, whereas Deja is trying to get the earlier macro advantage. Zergling speed is already on the way, and as we see on the production tab, baneling nest gone down. So we're going to see a Zergling baneling all-in off of one base from Niv, and Deja's really going to have to do his best to defend against it. Right now he only has slow Zerglings, he is getting his own gas, and is approaching the number he needs to actually get the Zergling speed, but his opponent's going to hit a lot before his. He's going to have his, just Zergling speed way faster. And pause for the first time, going actually back to just ordinary speed. We already see first 3 banelings are on the way for Niv, and there are only 6 slow Zerglings. Zergling speed isn't even close to done for Deja, and there's 1 queen on the field. I think that, yeah, there's another one that's partway being produced, but that's all his defense. Besides that, he's building drones. And so at this point in the game, when I saw these banelings being morphed and just really no defenses as yet before the spine crawler, I pretty much mentally checked out of the game. I was like, Deja's dead. I guarantee there's absolutely no way he's going to survive this incoming attack. When he threw down the spine crawler, I was like, well, maybe he's got a little bit of a chance, but it's a 50-second morph period, and Metabolic Boost is almost done. There are 10 more Zerglings in production. They're going to get across the field really fast once that upgrade is done. And small spoiler alert, Niv morphs in 2 more Zerglings, and so when you have 5, he morphs in banelings, and when you have 5 banelings against 6 slow Zerglings, it's a pretty one-sided stomp fest. The game's just over. It's a build order loss for the fast expanding player. He just didn't have enough defenses to guard his expansion. So the Zerglings are just about to pop out. That one spine crawler is trying desperately to show up. That one queen is just about ready to come out. There are the 2 more banelings that I had been mentioning a moment ago. The speedlings running right across the middle of the map. And Deja, if we take a second to look at his view, totally in the dark. He has no idea what's happening. His Overlord spread really hasn't given him any of the center vision that his opponent, as we switch back to the everyone cam, his opponent is at least keeping something of an eye on the middle. You know, he has this one Overlord hanging out, not doing too much. The Overlord right here is moving into the base, but it's going to be a second before he sees that baneling nest, and he obviously did not see that with the drone that died right about here earlier. So Deja is caught completely with his pants down. Slow Zerglings, only 2 queens, a ton of Zerglings, and banelings already out for his opponent. But let's see what actually happens here, as I'm not bothering to hide the replay bar right here, and so It's obvious the game goes on for at least a little bit longer, and already we see this isn't really good control out of Daedra. He runs this large group of Zerglings right into the middle of his opponent's banelings. One exploding, probably about this guy, would take out 4 Zerglings instantly, and these guys are about to get completely overrun. But he has barely had time to get this critical spine crawler up. 2 baneling detonations with a third on 1 Zergling over there immediately take out all of the defending Zerglings. Right now, when we look at the units tab, we have workers, 2 Zerglings who actually had a bad rally. They're rallying into the main as this hatchery is directing them, and 2 queens and the spine crawler are the entirety of the defense that Daedra has against this Zergling baneling all in. He does, however, have a small drone lead, so maybe he'll be able to pull it out as we keep watching. But this is the critical part. Look at this positioning on the queen. The queen was in between. I'm actually going to rewind it for a second so we can see a little bit more of what was happening during that attack. That queen was incredibly nicely positioned. I do think it was by accident. I think that Daedra wasn't showing us some hyper Gosu queen positioning, but it ended up working extremely well for him. The queen is not able to get fully surrounded. It can only be attacked on 2 sides. So these Zerglings end up running around and really not being able to do that much. We already see that the queen is going to start racking up a pretty impressive number of kills as time goes on. Actually, no, the queen doesn't get any kills. However, this spine crawl is going to work. Already 2 kills. These Zerglings are running around like idiots, not really getting involved in anything. So 3 kills, 4 kills. And almost gets the 5th, and significantly weakens all of these Zerglings. And already, the bite's really been taken out of this attack. It's down to 6 Zerglings. That's not too bad at all, actually. You'd think that this would be a much worse position. I mean, we were looking at like 13 Zerglings and 5 banelings against 6 Zerglings, a spine crawler, and 2 queens. And yet, because the reinforcements are so different, the amount of money that you have is just so different on these low eco maps, it's actually working out pretty well for our green Zerg player. Niv is very smartly going for the queen, trying to do some damage that he knows will stick, but big worker pull. And when those workers get involved against small numbers of Zerglings, as anybody who's been trying to do too many 6 pools has probably found out, workers trade pretty effectively against Zerglings, so long as there isn't that critical mass. That's the first point of analysis that I really want everybody to take away from this. There's a critical mass of Zerglings that starts to hit right at about, say, 15 plus, probably a little, maybe up to 20, where all of a sudden a lot of the ordinary static defenses and like queens and drone stuff are completely invalidated. There's too many Zerglings, they can move too quickly, get good surrounds, and begin to just really punish your opponent for not having banelings on the field. But when you're consistently kept at low numbers of Zerglings, say like between 6 and 10, all of a sudden all of those less valuable defenders, like the queens, like the spine crawlers, are dramatically more important in the game. As we see, all the Zerglings are taken out. They don't even successfully kill the queen. She's quite weak. She has 2 kills. A lot of these drones are going to be walking away with a couple ones. You have a hero drone right there with 2 kills. There's one baneling who kind of wanders around. Does get, oh, that's actually a huge hit. So continues keeping his opponent on low numbers of Zerglings. So Daedra has managed to survive that attack, and as we look at it, there are 17 drones versus 14, and critically, this is one of the biggest advantages that Daedra has going for him. His opponent's only just started his expansion. And as I mentioned in some of the earlier casts, when you have just 6 mineral fields and 1 high-yield gas, the optimal number of workers that you have is 15, with 3 on the gas and 2 mining every mineral patch. You can go up to 18 on the mineral patches and be getting a little bit more value out of it, but that third worker will have a little bit of wait time every time as he's trying to get access to these patches. So Daedra's going to be able to start taking a serious macro advantage as this game goes on, and this is my favorite part of the game. He's droning. I love that decision so much. He's getting completely all in by his opponent. He has no idea what his opponent's doing, aside from, I do think he ended up scouting the baneling nest with that. Oh no, it looks like the Overlord pulled back, so he has no idea what his opponent's doing. He knows that he's going for extremely large amounts of aggression, though. He has no idea that this attack is incoming, and he's building drones. And he's counting on his queen. He has another one which will not quite be built yet, but will be coming out of that hatchery in just a moment, and a small number of Zerglings to keep him safe.